is a skill we've lost, listening to hunger. Listening to satiety, listening to energy levels, listening to how food makes us feel hours later, not just minutes later. This attentiveness restores trust between body and mind, and trust is what eliminates the need for control. Control is expensive. Trust is efficient. In financial life, people who trust systems they understand make calmer decisions. People who don't trust their systems micromanage, panic, and overcorrect. Eating is no different. When you trust your food, you stop negotiating with yourself at every meal. You stop swinging between restriction and indulgence. You find a middle ground that doesn't require constant supervision. This middle ground is where health quietly accumulates. And health, unlike money, compounds invisibly until suddenly it doesn't. You only notice its absence. One of the greatest gifts you can give your future self is reducing the number of crises they'll have to manage. Eating well is crisis prevention disguised as daily life. In the next part, I want to talk about how the modern food environment actively works against these simple rules and how learning to navigate supermarkets, restaurants, and social situations with grace, not rigidity, restores agency. But for now, consider this. Rules don't limit freedom when they align with human nature. They protect it. And the best rules feel less like discipline and more like remembering something you once knew. At some point, eating stopped happening in kitchens and fields and began happening in boardrooms. Decisions about what we eat were no longer made primarily by cooks, farmers, or families, but by marketers, chemists, and engineers. And this shift explains much of the confusion we feel today when we try to eat well inside a modern food environment that was never designed for our long-term health. The supermarket is not neutral. It looks democratic, abundant, and welcoming, but it is a carefully engineered landscape. Every shelf, every package, every color and claim exists to guide your attention and influence your choice. The most profitable foods are rarely placed where your body would naturally look for nourishment. They are placed where your eyes linger longest and your willpower is weakest. This is not a conspiracy. It's an incentive structure. Highly processed food is profitable because it is cheap to make, easy to store, endlessly tweakable, and habit-forming. Real food, by contrast, spoils. It resists branding. It doesn't shout, it simply exists. And because it exists quietly, it often requires intention to choose. Intention, however, is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. One of the most powerful skills an eater can develop is learning how to see the food environment clearly, without resentment or paranoia. The goal is not to fight the system at every turn, but to understand it well enough that it loses its power over you.